It's going to be fun to look at this, and honestly, it's going to be a lot of young guys playing tomorrow morning, I guess tomorrow afternoon, whenever we get to it. It's going to be a lot of fun to see all these guys. So with over 20 players hitting the transfer portal this offseason so far, this leaves us with only 56 scholarship guys on the field on Friday. That's absolutely insane to think that we've only got 56 guys that are going to be scholarship guys on the field. Obviously, you've got your walk-ons and guys that aren't scholarship players, but it's just crazy. There's 24 freshmen that have those scholarships. So 24 of those 56 scholarships are freshmen. There's going to be 12 on offense, 12 on defense. Now, obviously, not all of them are going to be on the field, but it's going to be very interesting in this bowl game to see this young crew. And I think it does give us a little bit of momentum, a little bit of a look ahead into next season, whenever we look into next season and what we've got, because I mean, a lot of these guys that are coming on, that are going to be playing in the bowl game, those are going to be the same guys that we're going to roll into next season with, at the very least, into our depth positions that we really need. And so it gives them a little bit of playing experience. It gives them a little bit of time to get in there and do something. And so I'm excited. I'm excited to see all these guys. First, some of the guys that we've heard from throughout the season, we've got offensive lineman Heath Ozeta and Logan Howland going to be out there. Two very young guys, I believe both redshirt freshmen. So very excited to see both of them. Logan Howland had a really good end of the season, and we saw a lot of him towards the end, and he did really good job in kind of strengthening that offensive line when we really needed him. So excited to see him out there. And then, of course, over at the wide receiver / slot, we'll see Jacob Jordan, who we've heard his name. Outside of him, it's not going to really be names that we've heard of very much this season. But then you also have running backs Taylor Tatum and Xavier Robinson in there. I heard, some mixed reports on Gavin Sawchuk, as if maybe he's not going to be playing, which means that we should see plenty of these two and maybe even more out there. So we'll see who all we end up seeing on the field. And I don't know how many of these guys are going to be playing. The guys that are older, maybe if they're upperclassmen, they might not be playing at all. And if they're not playing, we might be able to expect not to see them next season. That's kind of the telltale here in this game. And then, of course, at quarterback, we're going to have Michael Hawkins playing. I assume that we might even throw Casey Thompson in there just because this will be his last collegiate game. I don't think he's got any more years of eligibility left. The dude's been in college football for 24 years now, but he might get into the game, and I would expect him to be in the game regardless of how it's going, just to throw him in there and say, hey, go ball out on your last possible chance in college. And he's not going to the NFL. He's getting into coaching. That's why he came to Oklahoma. He didn't really come here to play, but he did come here to learn how to coach. And I hopefully he did a lot of that on the sidelines. You did see him. He's been that hype man on the sidelines all season long, going up and talking to the quarterbacks, whether it be Jackson Arnold or whether it be Michael Hawkins, and going up to them and talking to them, seeing how they're doing, and maybe giving them some advice, maybe helping them understand, hey, did you see this? This is something that you did wrong. And he is very knowledgeable. He's very experienced in college football. He knows the rights and wrongs of college football. So he's been a good addition, whether we realize it or not. He's been a good addition just over on the sidelines. So excited to see what we see from him. But then guys that we haven't heard from all season, starting off on offense, we're going to have wide receivers Zion Reagans and Ivan Carrion, which are two guys that I think they've both seen time on the field, but they haven't really had their names called really at all this season. And two guys that we had a lot of high hopes for being depth players. Of course, with everything that went on this season, it just feels like the passing game wasn't really existent at all for the Oklahoma Sooners. So very excited to see these two guys, and hopefully we can get them some reps, actually get them the ball, and this is a Navy defense. I'll talk about them in just a second. This is a Navy defense. It's pretty good. So if we could pass the ball and pass it efficiently, especially when we're using these guys, I think that would be really important to be able to work these guys into it, and kind of utilize this. This isn't a big-time game. It's not even a big-time bowl game, nothing like that. But it would just be nice to be able to get their feet wet and get them feeling confident going into this offseason. And then, of course, in the offseason, they're going to be working on their own. They're going to be doing a lot of things either on their own or with other teammates. And maybe this can kind of get them pumped up, feeling like, hey, this is our time. This is our time to shine. And this bowl game, I mean, honestly, it's even kind of their time to shine and say, hey, Ben Arbuckle, I know you're our new offensive coordinator. You're watching us from the sidelines. This is what I can do without your help. What can you do to help me out, to kind of excel my game even more? Because this is what I'm capable of at the very least. How much more can you put into me? That's something that they've got to have going through their minds. And I'm sure Ben Arbuckle's probably had discussions with these guys so far since he got to Norman. But it's going to be really interesting, to say the least, just to look over and kind of see everything that's going on. So as far as wide receivers, I'd love to see what we get from Zion Reagans and Ivan Carrion. I'm sure we'll see a couple of other guys out there as well, but we'll also have a new tight end that I don't think we've seen at all this season, and that being Devon Mitchell. Devon Mitchell is a guy that he's very big. He's a big-bodied man with soft hands. He's talented enough that he could have been a good tight end this season. Got himself into a little bit of trouble with grades and trying to transition over to being a college athlete. And, him and Brent Venables had some talks early on in the season. He said, hey, I want you to redshirt this year. I want you to work and get yourself right for next season. He's now gotten himself to the point where I think we're going to see him on the field, maybe a little bit, not too much. But then, of course, we've got Jake Roberts, Caden Helms possibly out there as well. So excited to see what these guys are able to do, and who knows what's who else we're going to see on the field too. It's going to be a totally new offense, really. Of course, the offensive line is going to be pretty similar. We're not going to have a few guys that ended up hitting the transfer portal, but overall, the offensive line is going to look pretty similar. Outside of that, you're going to look very new. You're going to have Jacob Jordan out there, like I mentioned, and then you're probably going to have Xavier Robinson, Taylor Tatum kind of switch out the way that we've seen towards the latter half of the season. So as long as Taylor Tatum can keep a hold of the ball, I'm very excited to see what he's able to do going forward. Obviously, we know what we can expect from Xavier Robinson, looking absolutely phenomenal, specifically in that Alabama game where he really shined. I think that was kind of his coming out party. Like, hey, look who I am. Look at what I can do. And so very excited to see him there. There's going to be some other guys, too, that I'm sure I left off that list. But over on the defensive side of the ball, we'll talk about our defense real quick, and then we'll get to the chat. So make sure to jump in that live chat, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Those are a couple of things that we encourage you. It definitely helps us out a lot more than you realize. So just hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And hey, if you can, share this on social media. Let people know that we're talking right now and that they can also jump in the live chat. This is a show that we pride ourselves. We want to be talking with you guys as fans. I'm a fan of myself. I'm not in college sports. I'm not a coach, nothing like that. Not in college, not at the college level. So it's a show for fans. We want to engage with you, not just talk at you. So please jump in that live chat. Let me know. Give me your score predictions, what you're concerned about the game, what you're looking forward to about this game. Throw all that down in the live chat. We will try to get to as many as possible. But over on the defensive side of the ball, Des Malone, Kenai Walker, and Dasan McCullough, they're all gone. They've gone on. They've moved on. And there's a few other guys that think that we're kind of possibly not playing. I know for sure we've got Billy Bowman and Danny Stutzman that are sitting out, but they still made the trip down to Fort Worth with the team. They're not going to suit up or anything, but they still made the trip, sitting out to kind of preserve themselves. They're both very high draft picks. They're both capable of being high draft picks. I think Danny Stutzman, obviously, it seems like he's probably a first rounder, so I think he goes first round. Where, Billy Bowman, I haven't seen too much on him, but I would imagine second or third round would not be out of the realm of possibility for him. So they're just trying to keep themselves healthy. It's a smart move, and that's kind of been something that's always been the case. If you can move on to the NFL, it doesn't really make sense to hurt your stock by getting injured in a bowl game, especially in a bowl game like this that really doesn't matter too much. Specifically for those players, and even for the school. It's not like this is a big time bowl game. So I don't fault them one bit, but the fact that they still came down to Fort Worth to support the team is something that I find really interesting, and I appreciate that out of them, because it shows how much of a leader they've been to this program, how much they love the school, and, showing their support for their team. I think that's an incredibly, underrated thing right now. So awesome to see that from Billy Bowman and Danny Stutzman, and I think a few others as well. But those are the two notable ones. So over on at DB, because of Billy Bowman being out at DB, we're going to see guys like Michael Boganovsky, Jaden Hardy, Jeremiah Newcomb, and even Devon Jordan, all true freshmen. I believe all true freshmen. There might be some redshirt freshmen in there as well, but all of them are freshmen nonetheless, which is really awesome. We're going to have a bunch of DBs to throw out there that are freshmen. We've already got Eli Bowen, who showed up this season, and love to see that from him. But then seeing these guys, Michael Boganovsky is known to be a heat-seeking missile. He comes flying down with full speed and making big-time collisions. Want to see more of that. Hopefully he can protect himself in the process, not do something like what Gentry did and end up hurting your shoulder. I think Dasan McCullough even hurt himself just being too aggressive. But hopefully these guys can all stay healthy. Boganovsky's one of them, and he loves to get in there and get aggressive, which I love to see. I love to see that from players, especially today, but definitely got to keep yourself healthy. Over at the, let's see here, really on defense, I think that's all. I'm looking through here, and I don't really see a whole lot of other names that we're not going to recognize extremely well, other than the DB room. So everything else seems to be pretty locked up. We're going to see some guys that we've seen in all season long. Well, we're obviously going to see our veteran leadership and guys like Kobe McKenzie and Kip Lewis over at linebacker. Since Danny Stutzman won't be in, I'm sure both of them will get plenty of reps. I'm not sure how much Jaron Kinnick will be on the field. I don't know, but he's definitely been involved in the social media game. If you've been paying attention to social media, specifically his at all, you've seen what I mean by that. And then over at the Cheetah, of course, with Dasan McCullough leaving, of course, Kendall Dolby still healing up. We're going to see guys like Lewis Carter and Samuel Osomigo, which we've seen plenty of them all season long, but going to see those guys. Those are kind of all that veteran leadership, those guys that have plenty of snaps, kind of older guys. So very excited to see what all they do. But overall, I mean, outside of the defense, it's going to be a really new looking team, which means don't place any stupid bets on this game. I don't. Hey Sooner fans, did you enjoy this video? Well, go ahead and hit that like button and go ahead and hit that subscribe button. What are you doing if you've made it this far and haven't already? You should be able to find that subscribe button over here. And then if you want to see full episodes, we've got those up here and clips right down here. So go check that out. But we thank you all so much for all the love, all the support. We'll catch you next time. Boomer.